Joining me now is Professor Hagai Levine, head of the medical team for the Hostages and Missing Families Forum. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Hello, Sarah.
It's a very concerning report of Israeli hostages held in cages deep underground in tunnels. These hostages have been held for 111 days of captivity in these tunnels, limited oxygen, no sunlight, scarce food. Tell me, what happens to the body in these conditions, bound in cages?
Sarah, you don't need to be a physician to understand this. These are living conditions that do not fit for life. Obviously, all of them are in life-threatening condition because the lack of physical activity hurts the muscles and the bones. Some of the returning hostages, and it was more than 50 days ago, had deep vein thrombosis from lack of movement. Of course, the mental burden from the loss of control over your body, being in cage, being violated sexually, having tortured physically and mentally. Of course, the immune system is compromised in such condition without exposure to sunlight. There are many implications, health implications that may be irreversible, especially for people with previous medical illnesses, for the very young and the very old, and unfortunately also among the hostages are from 1 year old Kfir to 85 years old Shlomo Mansour, and we are very worried for the lives of all of them. And I can further elaborate to you, how almost each system of the body is poorly affected by these conditions.
And some of these hostages are elderly, as you mentioned. Some are wounded. There's cases of sexual assault. What are you most concerned about as a physician, and what needs to be addressed as soon as possible, immediately?
Well, the only way to recover and to help them get back to life is to bring them all back to Israel to be treated in hospitals, and they will face a very long recovery. We see it again, even for those who were released, they still suffer from medical and mental illnesses. I think the most important thing is the lack of hope, because if they don't have hope, they cannot survive. And what the Hamas is doing, which is a crime against humanity, is isolating them, not only in caves, but from the outer world. So they don't get a sign of life from the families. The families don't get a sign of life from them. Still, for many of them, we don't know if they are dead or alive. And this is, after 111 days, this can lead to loss of sanity and loss of hope. That's why we hope so much that our attempt to deliver drugs to them through the Frenchmen and the Qatari was successful. So far, we didn't get any evidence that indeed the drugs got to them. And the drugs getting to them is not only important for their general health from medications, but also to know that people care about them and that people are working to release them and to help them. That's why also the international support, the international efforts are so important, because we hope that at least some of it do get to the hostages somehow.
You mentioned that international support. Speaking of the Red Cross, have they offered to help, to give any sort of proof of life, any proof that they've received these medicine?
Well, actually, they issued a weird announcement a few days ago. I don't know who authorized this kind of announcement. They said we are, in a sense, not connected to this delivery, which, as far as I know, it's not exactly the truth. I think that obviously the Red Cross is not, capable of doing anything, but we expect more than impotence. In the bottom line, they are unable to do their job. So what we expect from them, at least say it out loud. Go and say, the Hamas did not let us to visit them as we should do, because they have right to get a sign of life, to get medications, to get treatment as anyone, even prisoners of war. And these are innocent people abducted. I don't know why the Red Cross does not publish in their social media, like they did in the past, stories of the families, stories of the hostages, as they would normally do in such a case elsewhere. I don't know why they behave remarkably different in this occasion.
They also issued a very bizarre statement this week, the Red Cross saying that they haven't been able to access the civilian Israeli hostages in Gaza, and that they also haven't had access to Palestinian prisoners in Israel. To remind our viewers, these are terrorist prisoners that took place in the October 7th attack. Dr. Hagai Levine, I want to get your reaction to that statement.
Well, I just want us to be, know the truth. The truth is that despite some criticism in Israel, which I oppose, Israeli physicians are treating nowadays Palestinians from Gaza, and terrorist Palestinians from Gaza are treated by Israeli physicians trying to save their lives as Sinwar. His life was saved, treated in Israel, because we are obliged to physicians' oath. We continue to do that despite some criticism from some populations in Israel. So I think that the Red Cross, again, I don't, the Red Cross, if it's saying something for the rights of Palestinians, that's also their duty. That's fine. But the same kind of enthusiasm they should also do for the hostages in Gaza, and that's surprising. But again, it's not only the Red Cross, I must say. It seems like some other countries, some leaders around the world, some humanitarian organizations forgot that it's their duty to help anyone, including Israelis and non-Israelis that were abducted. Do not forget them. Do not be silent, because it seems like it's easy for some of the world leaders to forget about them.
Former hostage Aviva Siegel testified at the Knesset earlier this week that Israeli women being held by Hamas in Gaza are being raped and are subject to regular sexual abuse, with their guards treating them, quote, like dolls. Now, medically speaking, what treatment is most crucial for these victims of rape?
Again, normally when a woman is raped, you can at least start the recovery, tell her you are now in a safe place, you got support, you got your family, you got healthcare professionals, we can take care of, medical implications such as pregnancy or sexually transmitted diseases, and we can start treating you mentally. Here, it's repeated, it's continuous. The assault is continuous, and they don't get remedy and support. It's so horrible. Aviva Siegel also thought that even just to hug someone that was now violated, they would not even let her to hug her. This is something that all women and men around the world should shout against, to say this is something that is not done in a normal world. Yes, it's very. I also have, trouble sleeping at night when I know these poor women and men also, because we know that also men are sexually attacked, are in there, and we all need to do whatever we can to support their immediate release, because as long as they are there, their life are at risk, and their body is at risk, their sanity is at risk. I don't know how much longer they could hold up.
Doctor, you mentioned a pregnancy. Are you concerned that some of these women could have gotten pregnant from their captors?
No doubt, that's a natural phenomenon in an unnatural conditions when they are raped and, they don't have a protection. Obviously, they could become pregnant. And, we requested a report from my team about the implications. Obviously, early in pregnancy, still there is less attachment of the mother to the fetus, and you could, if you want, do abortions early on. As time passes by, the procedure is very complex, and every day that passes, it makes it harder and harder for them. Yes, this is a serious possibility we have to take into account, and I'm very worried about that.
Dr. Hagai Levine, thank you very much for joining us today.